She winds and scores!
Puckett swings and hits a blast. Deep left center, way back, touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett.
Lob it to Garnett, beneath the foul line, the fadeaway with a hand in his face in the air for the win! Yes!
This is Sidelines on your sound and sports alternative, KVSC.
Yes, sir. It is time for Sidelines. You know, the sports world is already moving without us, but, you know, we'll get our side started here. We got Nick Speliopoulos, old Smeliopoulos. We got Colin Rutkowski, 2 L's. I got nicknames for everyone except for you two guys. We got Nathan Daggett, and then Andrew Steelman. That's the last name, correct?
Steele, S-T-E.
It's just Steele?
Yes.
It's just Steele? Okay, I don't even have the mics on right now. What am I doing? I'm asking people questions. I don't even have the mics on. What's up, guys?
It's going good.
It's another day.
Yeah?
It's a good
Today
day.
it's the Masters.
Yeah, it is Friday at the
best golf tournament
Masters.
of the year.
And that's kind of what I was referring to. You know, the sports world is already moving without us. Tiger literally just teed off. He went straight down the fairway. So how are we feeling about the greatest game to be played?
I haven't been the biggest Tiger guy. However, I'm definitely a
What?
big. Okay, let me just explain myself. I've never been around the Tiger hype train, but I am very big on him. He is very good for the sport of golf because everyone watches. Everyone watches when Tiger plays.
You just made the list!
You made my list.
Like, I'll add to that. Like, I'm not a huge golf guy, but I'll tune in for the Masters because it's, you know, the greatest golf event of the season. And Tiger's
arguably sports event. Arguably.
You'd have to make a hard argument.
But you can argue it, though. It's top five. It's top five in
understand.
sports events around the world. You've got the World Cup. You've got the Masters. You've got the Super Bowl.
NCAA tournament.
March Madness.
I would say Wimbledon, and probably the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Those are my top five right there.
I mean, it's and rightfully so. Like, it's up there. But I'm just not a huge golf guy. But I'll watch the Masters, and Tiger's the main reason why I'm watching.
Yeah.
Today.
Gosh, you're on this show where you know the host is a big golfer. You're a sinner. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So, what are you guys' reactions? And you, Steele, you just said you got into golf like 3 weeks ago. So what's your perspective?
It was a good time watching on Wednesday the par 3 contest. Tony Finau coming into today rolled his ankle on Wednesday. Played yesterday and played today. I think he's still 1 under right now.
Yeah, dude. I think
he's
that's
feeling it still.
Yeah, I mean, for dislocating your ankle and coming back and being able to play like this, you know, I don't know many guys that, you know, if you're popping it back in like that, that means you're playing the next day. Like, you want to, like, that's what it is.
Especially when you're walking all over the course every single day for hopefully 4 rounds if you can make the cut, of course. For a sport where you're walking constantly, you're always on your feet, that's pretty impressive that he dislocated his ankle and is playing the next day.
And for some people, you know, it's just things, some of their bones pop out. They have pre-existing injuries. I know sometimes that happens to me. But so do we have any, you know, I know it's early Friday, but do we have any favorites?
Vijay Singh got out to an early lead yesterday at 3 under.
We all knew that he was going to
collapse.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that watches golf knew that wasn't going to last. I'm going to go with a dark horse here. Patrick Reed, he's tied for the lead right now at 3 under. There's about 4 or 5 other guys, so it's still an open race. But I'm a big Patrick Reed guy, of course, ever since the Ryder Cup was here last year. I mean, that was impressive what happened. Him and McIlroy were just going back and forth all tournament, really. And I just love Patrick Reed. I think he's a dark horse to win this tournament here.
That's one guy I have on my little, you know, pick 'em things with my roommates. So we got Patrick Reed and John Rahm, and John Rahm's not looking good. He's kind of always that dark. Well, he's not even dark horse, I'd say, because he's a big name. He's just got a big driver, man. Like that,
he hits the ball far.
He's just got to control it, and everything else would kind of fall into place. Some other guys I'm looking forward to watching a little bit this afternoon, other than Tiger, obviously. Ricky Fowler, you know, he's been playing already with Phil. Ian Poulter, I think this could be his year, you know, to kind of step out. He's this guy with just all this potential in the world. He's been around for the last 10 years, and he just hasn't really gotten much done. Leishman had a good day yesterday. I could go on and on and on and on, but, you know, we probably shouldn't Okay, one more question. Just to
I-
Tiger, just because he's on the screen right in front of me as a 1-over right now, does Tiger have a realistic shot to win?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't think he will win. I think there's a chance he wins because he's been playing great golf leading into this tournament, and he's won this tournament a couple times, obviously. He's been very good at Augusta. He had some good holes and some bad holes yesterday, but that's going to happen at the Masters for sure. Everyone's, like VJ's saying, he started off really hot, and then he fell apart, and we'll see what he does today, but I think Tiger does have a shot. He knows this course almost better than anyone else in the tournament.
Oh,
right
of
now.
course, he's a 4-time champion.
Exactly. He knows he's played this course. He's won this course. He knows what to do. I think he can get the job done if health doesn't come later in the tournament, because that's always something you worry about with Tiger. Will he kind of flaw due to his injuries in the past late in tournaments when you're tired on day 4 and you're trying to fight for that win?
Well, his second shot from number 1 hit the green and rolled off, so he's sitting about 15 yards away from the cup. He'll par it. Yeah, we know. Let's get into some NFL draft talk. I don't quite have the order in front of me. I'll get that going. Who's number 1?
It's going to be Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
You think it's Darnold, huh?
The Browns owner was literally at his pro day. Like,
Yeah.
the Browns owner's already bought into him. Like, I know they're
That's so
bringing
funny.
They're going through the process of bringing everybody in to do their little tryout with the team, basically, but it's Darnold already.
Poor Browns. I wish they knew it. I wish every quarterback or every team that's going to draft a quarterback this season knew what they were getting into, at least in the first round.
Yeah.
This is just a bunch of scrubs. You've got Baker Mayfield, and that's it. Josh Allen. Yeah, I like the 6'7", 6'8" guys. I loved Brock Osweiler come out of ASU. He sucked. I think Josh Allen is gonna suck. I think Josh Rosen. How is he even a prospect in the draft? Can anyone tell me that?
I don't know. I mean, I liked Rosen for at least he wasn't afraid to make those poor decisions, which you kind of look for in some quarterbacks, because you have to have a quarterback that is aggressive at times, but you also have to learn to not be. And his problem is he's way too over aggressive, way too much of the time, and he makes a lot of bad mistakes.
I always forget that teams are going to overemphasize the quarterback position. You're going to take players especially at the quarterback position where they just shouldn't be picked at, because that's what's important for you. Nick, what do you got to say about it?
I mean, it's tough. I know why, and I know how the Browns are going to take Sam Darnold overall number 1. I just don't agree. They have the number 4 pick, and there's going to be one of those 3 quarterbacks in Rosen, Allen, and Darnold still sitting on the board at number 4. And I understand that they want Darnold, and they solely want Darnold.
Yeah, if you have your guy sitting there at 1, and it's different with the quarterback, because the average length of an NFL running back is like 3 years.
But what
if
about,
you're looking at your next 15 years, hopefully, if you're the Browns, and you want to hand pick your guy, you don't want to say, well, Darnold could get taken 2 or 3 there, where you have the 4th pick too. But
so you're going to say a top 3 pick in Saquon Barkley is going to drop to 6 or 7, but
I think
solely
he could,
because
yeah.
I could see he could drop to 4. The Browns could get the top overall prospect and the top overall quarterback prospect.
I'm looking at some CBS mock drafts right now, and 2 of the 3 analysts that they have their mock drafts on have Saquon Barkley falling 7 to the Buccaneers.
Nathan?
I think we're going to see that, because I think somebody's going to trade up to that number 2 spot to to try to get a quarterback, like probably Buffalo or Arizona. They're going to try to trade with the Giants to maybe go get a quarterback at that number 2 spot.
That's hard for me to answer. Like, I mean, at some point, don't get me wrong, love Eli Manning, his time is going to come, and they're going to need a new franchise quarterback. Geno Smith's gone. They're going to
very good.
Yeah, could you really trust
but
Geno
I'm saying their backup quarterback he's gone.
Yeah.
He left New York.
Well, Tiger gave himself a terrible chance at par. He chipped up, and he's on the fringe about 8 yards away. Let's continue.
I got faith in Tiger.
I do too, but okay, so going back to the draft, here's what I think. The Browns are a terrible team, a terrible city, terrible fans, terrible stadium, terrible everything.
Yes.
They have a terrible quarterback right now, and they need a running back. They need someone to help that team out, and Saquon Barkley is the guy. He's the franchise right there. You want someone to turn around your franchise. Easy draft pick at number 1. Easy, because then if you quarterbacks are going to fall to number 3, or that's where they're at, or 4, right?
4, yeah.
They're at 4. Even if they don't, then you just trade the pick away and you cut your losses. In this season, you have Tyrod Taylor and the best running back in the league.
And I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be fine because he led the Bills to at least a playoff spot.
And, you know, it's not that I'm high on Tyrod Taylor or anything. I'm just okay with him if I'm a Browns fan and you get Barkley, that means you're invested in the long-term success of your franchise. And then you can just chillax for a year. Maybe you make the playoffs. Who knows? Then you go after someone in free agency, or you have another bad year and you draft someone at number 1.
Well, and the other thing, like with why I don't see why Saquon's going number 1 is like you look at the quarterback draft class, there are multiple good prospects in the quarterback class, but you look at the running backs, it's a shallow draft class this year for running backs. And if the Browns truly want to succeed, I feel like Saquon's the right way to go, because I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor is going to lead the Browns to the playoffs or to the Super Bowl or whatever, but Tyrod Taylor can get the Browns 4 to 7 wins.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
But do you think that that whoever the Browns draft at number 1, do you think he could beat out Tyrod Taylor in that first training camp?
I don't
No.
see. Yeah,
I don't see a single quarterback in the draft other than maybe Baker Mayfield that could start this year and win more than a game.
If Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen should go to the Browns because Jarvis Landry's got that speed, and with his rocket arm, just throw that all the way
That's
down
scary.
to the other end. Just let Jarvis go and get it. Doesn't have to be accurate. You got Jarvis Landry.
I will add, the fun thing about this draft is there are a lot of good quarterbacks in a draft where a lot of teams need quarterbacks, and you're going to see the top 3 in Rosen, Allen, and Darnold go, and then you're going to wait to see where the teams that are lower in the draft, like Denver, Arizona, see where Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, the kid out of Washington State.
I could see Josh Allen dropping to 10 at least.
Yeah.
He's like I know they're talking. Everyone's talking Josh Allen go top, but he played against weaker opponents the entire college career, and he wasn't making noise like Carson Wentz was coming out of the draft. Carson Wentz, you knew he was number 1 or number 2 as soon as he got there, but then you have other top QB prospects up there.
Hold on.
Major eye roll.
Hold on. So you're just saying Carson Wentz had more
hype?
Yeah, but he was, and you're talking about playing weak teams. Carson Wentz played in the FCS. He played the weakest teams of the week.
Terrible teams.
Josh Allen played better teams than that. Yes, he numbers wise, but Josh Allen, the reason why he's up there is not because of the numbers he puts on the board. It's because he's projectable.
I think that's one thing you see with Rosen, Allen, and Darnold. That's the only thing that I see from those 3 quarterbacks is they're all projectable. Yeah. They all have potential. That's going to wrap it up for quarterback talk, because the Vikings, we never have to be in that position, which I'm thankful for, because I would hate to see us get a quarterback and fail every year, because that's what would happen.
I also couldn't imagine how Twitter would be after that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So we're at pick number 30. O-line.
Yeah.
O-line.
Easy choice.
I think we might trade up a little bit, though.
I think we could trade up, too.
I think we're going to trade up and get the guard out of UTEP, Will Hernandez. I also am looking at a mock draft that says that. I thought he might be a little bit lower in the draft.
Now, if we don't go... Wow, Phil.
We also could address linebacker. Because we're not sure what's going on with Barr and
That
Kendricks.
was my next question is what's our next position that could go first? I see linebacker or tight end, personally.
I could see nickel
linebacker.
Newman,
or
you can't rely on a 40-year-old.
Well, they haven't re-signed him yet, have they?
I don't think he's been re-signed.
Yeah,
I think he is, though. But
we do need to get another corner. I think you have. I guess you start Waynes and Rhodes on the outside this season, and you have Mackenzie Alexander as it stands right now as your nickel.
I mean, Mackenzie Alexander played pretty well at the end of last season. He was like a top 5 nickel corner for 5-6 games.
I think a lot of his season definitely reminded me of Trey Wayne's first season. So we'll see about that. I think tight end, though, is a position you need to go grab in the top 3.
Because we saw what Kirk Cousins did with a lot of tight ends.
Exactly. You need to go get someone with speed who can stretch the field, and you can line them up as a receiver. That's why I wanted to go get Jimmy Graham. That would have been a huge signing, because you just put him out wide, then you don't need to go get another receiver this year.
But then there goes all our salary cap.
Yeah, either Jimmy Graham
but then we also at the end of the season we have a ring on our finger most likely.
I don't know.
Does Jimmy Graham really make that
Yeah,
difference?
I'm not.
I think he does.
I-
I think he does. You spread out the okay.
I see
That-
your
That's,
point.
it's a stretch. It's a stretch.
Yeah.
I get that, but I just feel with the way our defense plays, I think we're Super Bowl or bust every season. And I think if we add a guy with some height, because we don't have anyone, we had Michael Floyd last season, but he only caught the ball like 15 times.
200,
that.
300 yards.
Yeah, I
much.
think it was 15 or 14, and he
still had
if it
200
was
yards
one
for that,
game
but-
and you looked at his season stats, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
And that you can say the same about Treadwell. We'll see if he pans out. I guess I would like to see that middle linebacker or outside linebacker position looked at too. I'd also like to see Kentrell Brothers actually get a solid look at the middle linebacker. He led the SEC in tackles in his senior season.
Yeah,
you know,
I loved watching him play. I'm a big Mizzou guy.
Big Mizzou guy?
My cousin goes there.
Okay.
And family's from around there. Love watching Kentrell Brothers play.
yeah, he's
And then-
a stud middle linebacker.
Yeah, and he's just great on special teams for the Vikings right now too.
Yep.
And he's automatically getting a roster spot just because of his special teams talent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I may as well segue into it. One thing you'll notice with me, the rundowns. I have something more important to talk about now. Is there another guy on our team that you guys kind of see as the Vikings? You guys kind of see could step out of the shadows next year and really be a big time contributor. That's someone that hasn't already.
I mean, first name that comes to mind would be Dalvin Cook. I know that like he's not necessarily in the biggest of shadows, but he only got to play
2-3 games.
Yeah, before he
or
went
maybe
down.
4.
Went down with a season-ending injury. Like
Yeah,
he
got
showed
hurt
a
in
lot of
Detroit.
promise, and I mean, some people were just once Murray started breaking out. You know, Dalvin Cook wasn't a name that got talked about much last season. When he comes back, he's got the pass block ability, and he
Catching
can
ability.
catch out of the backfield. You take every good trait of a running back in the NFL, and that's Dalvin Cook in a nutshell.
I'm definitely big on Mackenzie Alexander. Mike Zimmer, he turned this team from a 31st ranked defense, to a number 2, debatably number 1, depending on how you want to look at it. I thought they were number 1 last year, but by far that secondary was unbeatable. But Mackenzie Alexander coming into the nickel, he might move a little bit outside if there's an injury. He's has the speed to keep up with almost anyone. People say that about Trey Waynes, but Trey Waynes gets beat from time to time.
Well, he gets beat pretty much every play, but
Yeah.
he's able to catch back
right.
up.
But Mackenzie Alexander, I think he's someone to watch this year. I think he'll have a breakout season if he stays healthy, of course, which is always a big issue in football.
All right, what do you got, Steele?
There's just so much, like, there's not really shadows on a lot of these players. Obviously, I played offensive line in high school, so I'm just going to use the offensive line as a whole here. I'm not going to pick one individual, but I think the offensive line will come together this year after another year being together and grouping up.
And hopefully we get a guard in the draft.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with Johnson, the D-tackle. I think he played a couple games down the stretch last year. And
Tom Johnson?
No.
Because I was like, he's
out of
gone.
Iowa.
Jaleel Johnson.
Jaleel Johnson. All right.
I think once, Richardson's got his 1-year deal, he's out, and then we got Johnson coming in to replace him. I think he should have enough experience to come in and line in and be able to be a contributor.
I think he'll be our number 3 defensive tackle this year, too. I think he's going to have a big year.
Mine, well, I was thinking about Mackenzie Alexander, and one thing I want to add on to what you said about him is I remember when we drafted him, didn't hear much about him other than, we drafted Javon Curse too, which is my guy, which is who I'm going to choose. He didn't allow a single touchdown in his senior season.
Right.
The kid just boasts. He just gushes with confidence. This kid, the way the kid talks is there's no one better in the league than him already at this point in his career. I like the way he talks like that. So I think it is about Zimmer getting into his head, making sure this kid knows what he's doing out on the field. But then you take a look at Javon Curse. I haven't really seen a lot of the same emotional characteristic aspects, but the dude is a 6'5" safety.
Yeah.
The dude is huge. He has been making special teams plays,
And
he's got NFL
say that.
and he's got NFL bloodline.
Yeah.
And he's
to your point, didn't we draft him in the last round?
Yeah,
it was
he's
like
6th or 7th
Yeah.
round.
I mean, not too many 7th-round guys stick around for this long. So
No, and that's my guy, is the 6'4" guy from Clemson. We got the 2 Clemson guys on there. All right, let's take a shift over to the court. Last night was one of my least favorite nights in the sporting season. The Wolves fell 100-96 to the Denver Nuggets, who are the 9th place team in the West, who are tied with us. We have one more game left. Will the Wolves make the playoffs?
Are they a win-and-in
Yes.
situation? Is
Yes.
that how it is?
That's pretty much what it
Well,
is.
we got
Wolves
to
make
win.
the playoffs.
We got to
got
win
two
one of the
games,
games
yeah.
against the Nuggets, and then there's 3 games left. We got to
there's
win
3 games.
We played tonight against the Lakers, I think.
Yep.
We got to win one of the games not against the Nuggets, and we got to win a game against the Nuggets, or the Nuggets can force their way out.
So what is it? Is it Lakers, Grizzlies, Nuggets, or Lakers, Nuggets, Grizzlies?
Oh, Lakers, Grizzlies, Nuggets, I think.
I mean, I feel like the Timberwolves make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And as disappointing as last night was, every Minnesota Timberwolves fan needs to keep in mind we were without Jimmy Butler.
But why didn't he
But
play
you
last
s-
night if he was active? That's
you
what
s-
I
you
never
still-
understood.
It's a big risk.
Because
But
and
we
because
need him.
Derrick Rose also was active 2 games before he actually played too.
Right. That's
So
true.
they warm up, then they're just testing to see if they can go. If they feel great after the warm up, they'll go. But Jimmy Butler wasn't ready to go last night. And I said a week ago that if he would be ready, I think they would rest him on the first night of the back-to-back. So we have Jimmy Butler coming back while everybody else is kind of down. You have a person with full health coming back.
We lost to the Nuggets by 4 points. Towns fouled out in that game. Butler didn't play a single minute. When they come to Minnesota, and hopefully Jimmy Butler's in the lineup, we should have no problem in front of our home fans taking the Nuggets away.
But those first 2 games,
We
beat
shouldn't have a
Denver.
problem with taking them away right now. Andrew Wiggins scored 9 points last night.
I don't know.
Andrew
what is
Wiggins
going
scored 9 points last
He's
night.
not the
This team is
scorer.
terrible.
No.
Yes,
There's-
it is.
They do not
How?
want to play
How?
for Tom Thibodeau.
You don't know, and that might be it. That
don't
honestly
think
might
Tibbs
be
is a
it.
good coach.
No,
But all you
I
hear-
think you
I've
heard
thought
me.
that since last year.
You heard me before we got on today that I think he's the problem. He needs to be fired. He's so 1950s-esque. He doesn't relate to the players we have on the roster right now. If we're going to pay Andrew Wiggins this big-time money, let's go get him a coach that allows him to be athletic and run up and down the court. Now, a little bit is on him, too, obviously, because even if you do have a terrible coach, you should be running up and down the court 100%.
I mean, I don't get why they put. I remember talking about this back in February when they were making this run right before the Jimmy Butler injury, and we were talking about how good they've been playing and that they're probably going to be in the playoffs. But then you brought up the point that they're playing this half-court offense for no reason at all.
No reason.
There's no reason they should be. Look at last year with Zach LaVine and Wiggins, or 2 years ago, excuse me, Zach LaVine, he was hurt last year. This team was high-flying. They were fun to watch.
And
I
also
honestly
giving
don't
up
like
40-point leads.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like watching them as much as I did 2 years ago, and they were bad 2 years ago.
The sad thing is this team is never going to be able to beat a team like Golden State or Houston.
No.
All right, now
It's
let's dive deep into the details. There were 4 specific plays last night where Jeff Teague gave the game away. Right at the end, well, I'll give you 2 specific ones. Right at the end of the first half, where he held on to the ball for 5 seconds, didn't get it to a shooter, and he didn't even shoot it until the buzzer already rang.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have passed it at that point, actually. And then at the very end of the game, you have just over a minute left. You're down by 1 point. 1 point. And Jamal Crawford's on the left-hand slot, near side slot if you're watching the TV. And Jeff Teague gets double-teamed. He takes a left bucket step back, and he tries to swing it out wide open, Jamal Crawford. And he threw it 3 feet behind him. Ricky Rubio is 10 times better of a point guard than Jeff Teague will ever be in this league. I know that Jeff Teague has never missed the playoffs in his career, but Ricky Rubio's obviously much more talented.
I agree.
Ricky
I
Rubio
think-
is smarter too.
Yeah, Rubio is better. I think Ricky Rubio better fits this team now than last year. Ricky Rubio didn't fit this team. I didn't like Rubio on the team last year, but then we bring in Butler, we bring in Gibson. I think, honestly, if we would have kept Rubio over Teague, I think we'd be a much better team overall because Rubio brings you that defensive aspect which this team lacks regardless of Jimmy Butler on the court or not, which I found surprising. Rubio can pass the ball better than almost anyone in the league besides the guy on Teletovic on the Clippers. Rubio, he knows how to score now for somehow. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
but
he wouldn't have known how to score on our team.
Exactly.
He couldn't make a bucket to save
Right.
his life on our team, and I couldn't stand watching him.
It
And
drove me
I
nuts.
realize some people think Jeff Teague's worse than Ricky Rubio.
Now,
but
I'm saying now.
Yeah,
though.
right now, obviously, like with how they're doing. But I couldn't stand watching Ricky Rubio in the Timberwolves jersey, and I'm glad he's gone.
And
no going back on
I'm
that.
going to take that side. I mean, it's tough. I hated Rubio in a Wolves jersey because he didn't produce. You put him in Utah where there's not multiple lethal scorers on the team, and he's the one that puts up those points.
Right.
I mean, it would be nice to have him now because we have 3 pure shooters on the Timberwolves.
And this all goes back to Will's point. Tom Thibodeau is making these decisions,
And that's-
he's
and that's the reason
got his team to this. This is
Another
his team.
another decision where Tom. Oh, you guys got me riled up today. Another decision where he epically failed and fell straight on his face. Derrick Rose did okay. The first few games pretty good. Then he got hurt. Last night in a must-win situation, he was the worst player on the court. He's the worst player on the court.
Who are you gonna put
he
in?
ta- he ta-
Tyus Jones?
Yes,
No,
Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones was
Tyus
terrible.
Jones has been playing so much better.
Tyus Jones played terrible last night too.
No.
I get
No.
it.
Both
I
of them
get
were
it.
terrible.
I get it. But Tyus
No.
Jones isn't going to the lane and taking 4 steps before he's putting up a layup that doesn't even get over the rim.
I said this last night. Tyus Jones is a winner. He's won everywhere he's been. He makes big shots in big situations. He won Duke a championship. He won at Apple Valley. That's why Flip Saunders took him. He's been a winner everywhere he's been.
He hit the shot at Duke. He hit the one shot. He wasn't the reason why they made it to the championship.
He was the player
the
of
reason
the
why
Final
Okafor
Four.
went
It
to
wasn't
Duke.
just the one shot.
He played
they wouldn't-
amazing those 2 games.
They would not give him the player of the Final Four or whatever.
I thought he won player of the tournament.
It might have been player of the tournament.
NCAA.
All right, well, this is a little
different.
off topic, but right now he's in a Wolves uniform, and I do think he makes better decisions on the point than Jeff Teague. Now, I do think Jeff Teague's obviously a better point guard than Tyus Jones. I'm not trying to call him for his job in that aspect.
I think Tyus fits better though.
But Derrick Rose,
I mean,
I just don't know what else to say, man. He plays some good defense. I think, I was obviously wrong when I thought it was a mistake for the Wolves to bring him in. He's obviously helped a little, but he's not the backup point guard.
and he got a
And
team
he
like
should not be
Philadelphia.
shooting the ball.
I mean, you got a team like Philadelphia coming out here getting Marco Bellinelli and these 3-point shooters that would have helped the Timberwolves more than
Literally
Philadelphia.
I
all-
never
that's what
understood
we
why
need.
we didn't get Bellinelli. That was the one player I'm like, this is a guy that we need. Because Karl Anthony Towns, who's on fire from 3 this year, he's 7th in the league in threes. We need another 3-point shooter besides Cat, of all people, and Jamal Crawford, I guess.
All right, 60 seconds, guys. All right, you guys can each have a thought. Let's go.
I thought the Wolves should have gotten J.J. Redick on the offseason. At least 3-point shooting wise, would have been great coming off the bench. Better than Jamal Crawford, in my opinion. That is my one opinion. He wanted to come here.
All right, Smelly.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where the Timberwolves go. I'm happy with the additions they made. They could have made some better ones.
Playoffs, yes or no?
Yes. Playoffs, yes. Go
Playoffs,
Timbs.
yes. I think Bellinelli should have been on this team. They need another 3-point shooter. This is going to be an awful last 3 games to watch.
Nathan, what do you got?
I'll say they make the playoffs great, but I'd rather see a team like Denver or the Clippers get in because they've just been playing better down the stretch. So.
All right, thanks for joining us.
HD3 Minneapolis St. Paul. Don't touch that dial because coming up next is the Afternoon Progressive Rock Show, where you can hear some of the best of new progressive rock and some of your old favorites as well. You have a chance to listen to the sports department here at KVSC later on today after the 4 p.m. news edition for Husky Sports Friday at 4.